Hello, boys and girls. I hope everyone is doing well. Today I'm going to go over the three skills: interpreting scale factor and scale drawings, scale copies, and scale drawings. So let's start with the first one. I have a few examples to go over: interpreting scale factor and scale drawings. So this problem states Christopher made a scaled copy of the following trapezoid. He is using a scale factor greater than 1. What could be the length of the side that corresponds with BC on the scaled copy of the trapezoid? And you'll notice that it does say choose 3 answers. Well, the first thing that we have to look at is that they tell you that the scale factor is greater than 1. So we know that if a scale factor is greater than 1, it means your figure is getting larger. So let's take a look at side BC. In this figure right here, BC is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. So that means that in the scaled copy, it's going to have to be larger than 5 units. So taking a look at our answer choices, obviously 1/5 wouldn't work and 4 wouldn't work. But if you look at the bottom 3 answer choices, those are all bigger than 5 units. Therefore, those could be the 3 possible answers. And then you'll notice I just put a note here. If the scale factor is greater than 1, the figure gets larger. If the scale factor is less than 1, the figure gets smaller. Okay, this one says Kendra made a scaled copy of the following square. She used a scale factor less than 1. What could be the side length of the scaled copy of the square? Well, it's a square, and we know that all the sides are the same in a square. So that means that if this is 8 units, this is also 8 units. This side would be 8 units as well as this side. So if the scale factor is less than 1, then it means that your scaled copy of this figure needs to have sides that are less than 8 units. So taking a look at your answer choices, the 3 that would work would be B, C, and E, because those are all less than 8 units. Okay, in this example, it says Carl made a scaled copy of the following rectangle. He used a scale factor less than 1. What could be the length of the side that corresponds with BC on the scaled copy of the rectangle? Well, looking at BC, BC is 2 units, and you're using a scale factor less than 1, which means that your copy, the side needs to be less than 2 units because it's getting smaller. So the only 2 correct answers that would work here would be 1/2 and 1. All the other ones are 2 units or larger, which means they would not work. Okay, moving on to the next skill, scale copies. The illustration below shows an original parallelogram followed by an enlarged scale drawing of the parallelogram. What is the value of x? Okay, so here we have our 2 parallelograms, okay, and we notice that going from this one here to this one, it gets larger. So the easiest thing to do for a problem like this is to just set up a proportion using your corresponding sides. So my first ratio, 16/10. I did the small figure to the large figure. So I did 16/10. And then in my second ratio, the side that corresponds with 16 is x. So that's going to go on top with the 16. And the side that corresponds with 10 is 12.5. So that's going to go on the bottom. And then you're just solving it like a proportion. 10 times x equals 10x. 16 times 12.5 is 200. And then to get x by itself, you are dividing both sides by 10, leaving you with an answer of x equals 20. Okay, here it says figure A is a scale image of figure B. Figure A maps to figure B with a scale factor of 2 and 1/2. What is the value of x? Okay. So you'll notice that I put some notes here in red. It says, notice that figure B is larger than figure A, which is why the scale factor is greater than 1. If the side length of the larger figure is 5, then you will need to multiply by the reciprocal of the scale factor because x should be smaller than 5. Now that sounds confusing, but think about it. They're giving you 5 on the larger figure, and we have to find out the length of the corresponding side on the smaller figure. So we need to multiply 5 by something. Now, if I multiply 5 by 2.5, that doesn't make sense because that means my figure would get bigger, which in fact, it's getting smaller. So my improper fraction for 2 and 1/2 would be 5/2. If my figure is getting smaller, I'm simply just going to multiply by the reciprocal of that scale factor, which is 2/5. Let me move this out of the way. So you'll see If I multiply 5, notice I put it over 1. 5 over 1 times 2/5, you can cross simplify your 5s. That's going to leave you with an answer of 2. So that means the length of x is 2. You can test it out too. You can also take your answer and multiply it by your scale factor of 2 1/2 or 5 over 2, and you will see that you'll end up getting 5 when you check it. Okay, figure A is a scale image of figure B. What is the value of x? Again, I'm just going to set up a proportion here with my corresponding sides. So I did 27 over 45. My corresponding side with 27 is x, and my corresponding side with 45 is 35. So my second ratio is x over 35. Find your cross products. 45 times x is 45x. 27 times 35 is 945. And then to get x by itself, we're simply just dividing both sides by 45, leaving us with x equals 21. Okay, here's one last one. Figure A is a scale image of figure B. It says that figure A maps to figure B with a scale factor of 4/9. What is the value of x? So here we have x on the larger figure, and then its corresponding side is 16. So we're going from basically knowing this side here, which is 16, and finding out one on a larger figure. The scale factor is 4/9, which means your figure should be getting smaller. However, since we're trying to find x, notice x is going to be larger than 16. That means we're simply just going to multiply by the reciprocal, which is 9/4. So over here you can see my work, 16 over 1 times 9/4. I can cross simplify with my 16 and my 4. They're both divisible by 4. And that's going to leave me with 36 over 1, or 36. So x equals 36. Okay, and the last skill for this week is scale drawings. Let's do a few of these together. It says Gwendolyn holds a hot dog on graph paper using the scale shown below. The hot dog has a length of 9 units in the drawing, which you can see I wrote out here, 9 units. What is the length in centimeters of the actual hot dog? So the 2 units being used here are grid units, so units on the grid, and centimeters. They give you the scale at the top. They tell you that 6 units is equivalent to 10 centimeters. So my first ratio is 6 units for 10 centimeters. I'm just going to set up a proportion like we did in the previous example. So 6 over 10 equals, well, my hot dog is 9 units long, so 9 goes on top. And we want to know how many centimeters that is. So x is going to go on the bottom. 6 times x is 6x. 10 times 9 is 90. And then to get x by itself, we're dividing through by 6, leaving me with x equals 15 centimeters. Okay, this one says, move that out of the way. A scale on a blueprint drawing of a house shows that 6 centimeters represents 3 meters. So right there, that's your scale. What number of centimeters on the blueprint represents an actual distance of 27 meters? So the units being used here are centimeters and meters. Notice I wrote my keywords down, centimeters over meters. So my first ratio is the scale given, 6 over 3, equals, we want to know how many centimeters on the blueprint represents the actual distance of 27 meters. Since it's meters, that means it's going to go on the bottom where we put meters, and x goes on top. Find your cross products. 3 times x is 3x. 6 times 27 is 162. And then we're dividing both sides by 3, leaving me with x equals 54 centimeters. A scale on a hiking map shows that 1.5 inches represents 4 miles. What number of actual miles are represented by 6 inches on the map? Here they're giving you inches and miles, so you'll notice I wrote my keywords down, inches over miles. So my first ratio is my scale, 1.5 inches for 4 miles, and that equals 6, since that's inches. That's going to go on top, and x goes on the bottom. 1.5 times x is 1.5x. 6 times 4 is 24, and then I'm dividing both sides by 1.5 to give me x equals 16 miles. The correlating note-taking packet pages for these 3 skills are pages 43 through 47. I would highly recommend that you do these examples and let me know in the Zoom session or in the Google chat if you have any questions. And also you can watch the videos in Khan Academy if you would like to see additional examples. Have a great day, everyone.